Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello.
Welcome back to season 2. How's everyone doing?
Whew. Bopping and weaving, but we good. I'm good. I'm hanging. Just bopping and weaving.
A lot happened since we left you guys in season 1. So season 2 is going to concentrate on conversations and relationships. So today we're going to start out with a conversation topic where we left off on our exercising rights to vote episode. So today we're going to kind of react to the voting outcome of the 2020 election. Sac passe. You're listening to Unfiltered Liming with BLT. Every week, we will reflect on our journeys on trying to navigate between our parents' traditional culture versus American culture. We are your hosts, Bertide,
Lisa, and Terry.
No one's talking.
Happy New Year!
So let's get unfiltered.
Hello, BNT.
Hello, Elle. What's happening?
There's a whole lot happening over here.
Oh, only in America. Where do we get started?
We on lockdown, curfew, pandemic, everything going on in DC.
I'm telling you, we in the third world country. I feel like I'm over in the other side of the world right now. Lord forgive me, my people listening on the other side of the world, but I feel like I need a plane ticket and like it's peaceful over on the other side of the ocean.
Yo,
yes.
Let me tell you, there's tankers outside, ladies. There's tankers outside.
So let's talk about that, Lisa. Let's talk about this wonderful. So this is January, right? We got a new administration, right, going in. But apparently the current one don't want to leave. Apparently thinks that this is his real estate and staying in where he is. So the whole family has gotten together and they gave the fighting words. They gave the go ahead. And all of a sudden, what did we see on all media channels alerts a week or so ago in this wonderful January season? A bunch of folks, I'm not going to mention what color they were, but they're climbing walls of the Capitol. They got guns. They got flags saying they taking over. Actually stormed in. What?
B, where did they storm in? Please clarify for the folks out there on the other side of the world.
So they stormed in at the state capitol in DC, y'all. Like this wonderful, supposed to be what? Very secure place.
You're not even allowed on the steps.
Where there was, right? Where there was barriers. I think there was barriers. Like, I'm just talking, I don't know if this is all factual. I just seen what was on TV.
The barriers went to go get service that day.
The barriers and the cops were out there and they stormed while Congress. But the thing is, let's back up. Why were they there in the first place? Because that day was the day for what? For Congress or Senate, House, whatever, they were supposed to, again, final count to make it official. Yes, electoral votes to count, to make it again. If this is like the 5th, 10th, 100,000 count about, there's a new administration coming. I don't know why we need to count so damn time, but this is a process. So they counted, right? So they were in the process of doing that. And the man sitting at the White House saying, I just can't believe, I'm sorry, it's not funny, but I just like to be like, he's like, my peoples, rise up.
Lack of a better words.
Like, rise up, come through. Like, I feel that's like gangster stuff, right? That's like Godfather. Rise up, Rise, this is our territory. What we doing? Like, rise up. Who's who?
But they went to the mattresses for this one.
But let's keep it real. He already forewarned us. Didn't he tell them to stand by?
Talk about it.
He said the Proud Boys stand by.
My alerts was just like, when you see some shenanigans, is my word, people. Shenanigans on TV. And you be thinking like, okay, sometimes the media, they're real good at these news things, but this is not happening really on my screen. Like, I had to literally log in to all my channels to make sure, like, okay, it's on my phone. I know I see it on my phone, but this is not real. Logged in, And then I call Lisa, be like, yo, because, she's boots on the ground. So I'm like, yo, what's happening in your streets?
I was like, girl, I was just trying to get a salad.
We're back to the salad business. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just interject for here, just so anybody who does not know, in the midst of all the melee down there, our wonderful Lisa was determined to get her salad, which was located not too far from where all of this was happening. So when they said that they were closing down or they were shutting down because of this, Lisa said, but you still have my salad.
Not before I get my salad. They gave a curfew, but she needed to get. See, again, folks, this is why sometimes Black people, I'm going to need us to get it together.
No, that's not even a Black person. That is a West Indian. A West Indian says, okay, I understand. What we're ting. That was a Lisa move right there, just so you know, ladies and gentlemen.
That was a West Indian move.
I know we're laughing, but it is a serious matter. So I do want your ladies, take a few minutes. We're reacting to this because this is actually, a lot of comeback. So I want each one of you ladies to take a few minutes and explain your reaction to what historically, because this is a historical moment, all seriousness in this country about this riot. And the majority of the folks in this riot were people of, what is it? Caucasian descent. I don't want to discriminate. There were a few of us speckles in there, But take a few minutes and give your thoughts, your reaction, what you'll be talking about with your family. Just react to this whole riot, this whole thing happening down your street. Lisa, go ahead.
Okay, no, seriously, it's all jokes aside. It is a very serious matter. It's actually very disheartening. The big part that really hit home for me and hurt the most was even before the Black Lives Matter protest. It was a young lady. I feel like her name is Mariah Carey, Carey. How you say that?
It's Carrie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mariah Carey. It's a young Black woman. She drove from Connecticut to DC and she had her baby in her car. Supposedly she made a U-turn at a checkpoint that led her to being killed. She drove from the White House to the Capitol in her car. A 2-door black Infiniti surrounded by Secret Service and Capitol Police. Yep. And in that situation, she's driving her car, you're trying to get control of the situation, and you felt necessary to shoot her down. But it was okay for over 100 to 200 people to storm and actually get into a building that normally you can't even hardly stand on the stairs at? That, to me, that hurt me the most, because at that point in time, immediately I felt like that's an inside job. And number two, besides stating the obvious, that when it comes to people of color, it's very blatant that we're treated differently once again. And you showed us that in when was the other Black Lives March or protest? What is that, 6 months ago? 6-7 months ago. So in less than 365 days, you managed to show us once again that we're not of privilege. We don't have the same rights. They basically can get together and do whatever the hell they want. Because there's no way on God's green earth how one woman can get gunned down, but hundreds of men and women can storm a government building. And yes, there were Capitol Police presence around, but it was too easy for them. And that to me is heartbreaking, more than anything.
So explain to me, Lisa, if it was, let's say the protest was us, was of different nationality, different minorities, what do you think would have happened?
Oh, there would have been mass murder. I'm just going to keep it real, right? Okay. Bloodshed, the paddy wagons.
What about you, Terry?
What I didn't understand was, how is it that a peaceful protest became a target of the police and the law enforcement being aggressive with peaceful protesters, as opposed to the aggressive mob that came in and they ran from them. So what is that really saying here? Was it a setup? Did they just not want to have any conflict with them and just let them do what they want to do? Were orders given to stand down? That, because orders were given for the peaceful protesters when they were doing the Black Lives Matter, when they were doing that march. Orders were given that even if someone flinched the wrong way, let go, let loose. However, these people, and I say these people because this gang, right? Because that's exactly what they are. They're a gang, people, angry mob that had the nerve to go to the Capitol, bust through, and just want to be able to say whatever they want to say and do whatever they want to do. And it was okay. It was okay. No one moved. People ran away from them. And dared not touch them. So basically, who are the police really protecting? And when is it right? When is the right time for them to either stand down or stand up? I feel it's so backwards.
Well, that's the question, because you have to also, I know when this happened, a lot of information was coming out. So one of the information that came out, and I'm sure that, like you mentioned, is the fact that orders were given before the Black Lives Matters, right? Because the thing about it is, Black Lives Matters was a coordinating event. Right? People knew, like, yo, this is going to happen this day, whatever. This basically was like, yeah, it's happening, but not, it was like, once the order was given, people were ready to go, like you said, Lisa, right? Like, yo, and when that happened, the difference was the person that gave the order for this was the same person giving the order for the other one, right?
No, I'm going to interject here, sweetheart. You know what the difference was? Do you know what the difference was? The word black.
What was it? Right, that's what I'm getting at. The person that's sitting there that's giving the order, he's giving the orders to both, right? He's giving the order for his people to do what they want to do, and he's giving an order for your military black folks. You're not what. That's what I'm. Is that authority giving the order, right? Because the thing is, military was out, a bunch of police was out for Black Lives Matters all the time, right? In every city, every state, whenever they were like, yo, y'all not coming here, whatever the people were saying, we're not doing this, whatever, they were basically ready for us, right? Mm-hmm. But for this one, what it was just local police. They had to actually call in other reinforcement, but y'all knew this was coming. That's my question. They knew.
Governor Hogan had came out and said that he got a call from a strange number he had never seen before and was like, can you come now?
Okay, they knew they were coming. Sorry, Lisa. They knew they were coming, and they knew exactly what the itinerary was, because they did not hide it to say, we coming strong, and we coming deep. They didn't hide it. So it wasn't like it was secret.
Yeah, because they have one goal in mind. They feel like, if you know I'm upset about something, right? And I'm telling you I'm coming, because you already know I'm upset. What do you think I'm coming for? To break bread? Like, what you think I'm coming for? I'm telling you, I'm coming in with guns loaded. Like, that's the other thing too. Some of these people had guns, right? So if I'm coming to you armed, then at what point do you not take the extra precaution? Because the thing is, if I'm armed, right, and I'm walking around and you know I'm armed and dangerous, wouldn't that be automatically like, hey, yo, you have military out there ready, because you don't know what they're gonna do. You don't know the life of people. Like, you don't know. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand, I guess, the process of knowing, like, yeah, people have rights, First Amendments, and all this stuff, but that First Amendment, again, doesn't apply, like you said, Terry, to us. It just not in the same way.
And they came in there. Some of them were ex-military too. They came in there with zip ties. They were coming in there to basically tie people up and some more stuff.
Taking pictures. Did you see the one? I'm sorry. So there's one that I'm going to react to because I just thought that was and it just, this one shows the boldness and shows just, again, how we're reacting to the fact that you could tell a big difference. So there's a picture of a guy that's sitting in Pelosi's desk with the feet up taking a picture. That picture went around and smiling and left a note saying, like, we are coming back or we're not backing down. Did you see that? But my thing is, again, sitting at an official government's desk taking selfies.
Let us do that.
It's not breaking and entering.
Yes, it is.
I'm just asking. I don't know.
Yes, it is.
I mean, maybe somebody that's in law enforcement, if you're listening, please help us understand. I'm just making sure that, what we're saying is legit. I'm not really sure about how the law works.
And I just feel at the end of the day, because there was not that much police presence around, and then the other jurisdictions like DC police and Maryland and Alexandria police, they got called in after they had already breached.
Yeah.
That call came after.
Yeah. And my thing is, I feel like also the police, and I don't know if it's like, I don't know whether it was a setup or not. I can't, because I know we all know people that serve in uniform, right? And my thing is, some people are like, oh, there's video cameras of certain police officers letting them through. My thing is, if your back is against the wall, I don't know in that situation personally, what are you going to do with a mob? You ain't set up for success. I'm saying, yeah, probably if it was us, they would have already shot us. It doesn't matter how much, how many of us were coming after them. But I'm just saying, I don't know. That part, to me, I heard that there's, because there's recordings, right? They're saying there's recordings of police officer basically saying, oh, yo, come on in.
Yeah.
And
so just like I said, from the moment that it happened, I felt wholeheartedly that was an inside job, because there's no way.
Really?
I felt like it was inside, and inside from the president, inside from Capitol Police, just inside all the way around. And for those officers who really didn't know what was going on and who was really fighting for their lives, I feel for them. But I think it was inside, and yeah, I don't know. But I know the Capitol Police, the head of Capitol Police, he resigned right after that.
A lot of people
resigned, but then but he came out and made a statement and said that he put in, I forgot how many, several requests for backup and didn't get it. So I don't know.
Wow. And the funny thing is, I remember being in DC like several years ago, and I think there's a lot of people that said, like, you couldn't even, as close as they got, you weren't able to get that close before. Like they
That's
had
what I'm saying.
Like they had, you know what I'm saying? So again, I know it's one of those things. And one of the best memes that I've seen is the fact that, and I think it's whole true, I don't want nobody talking about third world country, Africa, Haiti, or none of those people talking about this does not happen in America, because this has been proven
that it can. And what are you saying to the rest of the world? Because the rest of the world's government look up to our democracy. You know what I'm saying? So what are you saying to them? They try to model themselves after us. And we just showed
our asses, basically. Well, I don't know.
I don't want to say I guess you can say, because America voted this man that had no prior experience in politics and voted in an unqualified person that got us to this point to where we are today. So America didn't do their homework.
Or maybe they did.
And they used him as a pawn, right? Quite possible. I've thought about that too. I thought about that
There's
too.
two sides to every coin. Because the thing about it is, a lot of times, it is said that, the wrong person, but I feel like it's the right person at the right time. Everything happens for a season, for a reason. Because if it didn't happen, and I think Steve Harvey, and listening to him, he's like, as a minority in this country, we've always known this, right? It's not like we haven't, and I think it's very important to not distinguish and not to say like, but we've always known this. It's just now, like you just said, Lisa, it's on a national scale, right? At another level that people are like, yeah, well, we know this, but it's not really that bad. And I feel like now it's showing like, yo, it's really that bad.
Yeah. So moving on to which leads us to the next. And later that week,
so ladies, whoever wants to start, let us know, how do you feel about, what's transpired in the 2020 election?
This is some damn shenanigans. That's all I have to say. It's the foolishness.
You care to elaborate?
Listen, all I know is snake, there's no snake. And I tell you why I say that. It's because...
Snakes, there's no snakes. Snakes, there's no snakes?
Snake, there's no
Is that
snake.
the quote?
Yes, snake, there's no snake. If he wasn't shucking and jiving, and he know who he is, if he wasn't shucking and jiving from when he ran for office, then he wouldn't know where to look or what to do. Snake, there's no snake. He did.
That's excellent.
It just amazes me that you can't even say, something, okay, I did lose. All right, it is what it is. I lost. Maybe I didn't do things right. I lost. Let me bow out gracefully. You going down fighting, as the Trinidadians would say, fighting the good fight. Why are you going down fighting? And plain and simple that, it's over. It's a done deal. But you looking under every rock that you could be able to pull something out of, where you done tuck your stuff in under them rocks to pull out to see exactly, what I could do now to hold up stuff. Come on now. Give it a break.
Yeah.
Give it a break.
Yeah.
I've had enough. Come on now. Party's over.
But let me ask you this, like, what about the results though? Like, how do you feel? I know, like, we covering that because you know that, but like the results of actually people coming out and exercising their rights, are you kind of like happy with the result of what's transpired?
Oh, definitely. I think the people came out because the people are tired of the bullshit. So now they're like, we have to do something different, because this is not, everything that has happened is not a behind closed doors and you didn't know. This was so blatant. So now people are like, things got to change, because if it doesn't change, we're going to go down in flames, and we are. We are, if you notice. We're the only country that's really struggling here. I was Lisa and I were having this conversation earlier. This is the only country that is struggling here. And I'm glad that people came out in droves, stood in line, and stayed in line to make sure that they had a say in the change. And I am grateful for that. And I applaud everyone for banding together for that.
Yes, that's excellent. Because, actually, according to statistics, 2020 presidential election turnout was 66.2%, whereas in 2016, it was 60.1%. Then the highest in 1908 was at 65.7%. So that just gives you an idea, people came out, because also too, you're embarrassing us. Like, and the other thing we have to look at also too, how the whole pandemic was handled. So if you were smart, brethren, if you had listened to the professional people and did the right things, you actually could have won a second round, even though the majority of us didn't want you. but you actually would have had a hell of a chance of winning. Come on. Like, it was too blatant. And the fact that you were yelling voter fraud from the beginning, I mean, even when you won against Hillary and she won the popular vote, you wanted a recount. Like, dummy, what do you need a recount for? You freaking won. And that goes to show me you don't fully understand the process and you're in it for the wrong reason. So as far as a reaction, it's the weirdest thing. I feel like it was a relief. Like there was a weight lifted a little bit when the results came out. I also felt like in the past when there was elections, it's kind of like you have the election night, you get the results that night, the next morning they have a little bit of chatter, and then it's done, and then you have inauguration in January. This felt like
it took
I don't know if it was I don't know if I want to compare it to Super Bowl or I want to compare it to the
Olympics or something where you're waiting for a long damn time for the results.
Or the playoffs, basketball, the playoffs. Like it just felt like every day was like
you had to go to game 7.
Oh man.
Wait until game 7 to see who's coming out.
And that in itself was stressful. Like, cause also too, we're not used to that. Typically the elections, they come out, that night is done, you move on. You found yourself every night like, yo, did anything change? Okay, we got one more electoral vote, you know. It's like a scoreboard. It was literally like a scoreboard for days. I don't know. No, it was more than days. It was weeks. Anticipation. They called it. It was a whole week later before they actually called it. It's never lasts that long.
Right.
It was a Sunday, right? It was a Sunday that it was called at like 11 o'clock in the morning. So that definitely was not normal.
Right. But do you also think because they made sure, because remember with the last election, so do you feel like they waited to make sure because they knew who they were dealing with?
Yes, I think so.
The numbers, you understand what I'm saying? Like you had to make sure your numbers, all your your T's were crossed, your dot, because you didn't want, I mean, even though it's still happening, but you know what I mean? I feel like they were very precise in the count to make sure before that anything was said. You know what I mean? Like
it was a check, double check, triple check type thing.
Yeah. Oh, they were really, and let's keep it real. I feel like we're so advanced with technology now that the fraud is not, like we're ahead of that.
Right.
But because he was yelling at, you're right. They're making sure their I's were dotted and T's were crossed.
I mean, think about it. No, election was done and over with November, right? And going into
the whole month of November.
Yeah, like going into January, still up until the time that they're about to take over office, he's still not really, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, like grasping the concept. Because normally I've never seen it where a past administration, knowing they lost or going so hard, still make noise. I've never heard, like, I feel like whenever an administration loses, you don't hear about them really that much, right? Like, I don't know if it's me, but I just never felt like I heard about them making laws or them making, like so many goals coming out. And I feel like what is happening right now? Like, I'm lost with what this process right now is. So weird to me because it's never been where, someone is going so hard. But yeah,
I think they went hard, and I think that this has happened because a lot of people on his team, if you weren't for him, you were against him. And he just kept dropping people. So those people, I felt, and this is just my opinion, must have said, you know something, lack of a better words, fuck this. You know something? It's your ass now. So now what they did was they probably ganged up against him and made sure that everything was the way it's supposed to be set up. Now, I bet you any money, if the situation was different, they probably would have rode for him because he was a better person. But because he was this type of person that if you're not with me, you're against me, and he just started firing people for all these petty reasons, people got tired. That's what I'm saying. I think people were just tired. The people in the cabinet, the people out of the cabinet, the people on the counter, the people in the cupboard, the people all over the place. I'm telling you.
All over.
Yes, no, and if you think about it, what's attractive about him is that he says the things that a lot of people are thinking. He does. He'll come out and say it with no filter. And a lot of people think it is so entertaining and so funny and but what happens is then they take that and they run with it, and this is the reason why we have all this chaos all over the place. No. You being the leader, you have to be able to know how to temper what you're saying. So a lot of that goes with, that's why a lot of these people are still following him. And when I say these people, I'm talking about, he has his faithful followers. He does. Let's call a spade a spade. Whether he win, lose, or draw, they gonna follow him until the ends of the earth. And you know something? They know that he's wrong, but they're still gonna follow him anyway because of the foolishness.
Yeah, they're embarrassed too, because it's like, this is what I've been yelling all the time. I can't change my message halfway stream, That's
right.
Like, your team is losing, but you're a fan, so you're just gonna still keep going, riding with them. And my team has lost, but I'm still gonna wave that flag, right?
So let me ask you this, Lisa or Terry, but Lisa, did anything during this process come out with your family during this voting process that, may have came out?
Yes. So what's interesting, again, like we discussed in our previous episode of voting rights, we talked about, well, actually you dropped the bomb that originally Republicans were for Black people. So, but we typically as Black people vote Democratic, right? So after that episode came out, I had another conversation with my dad, and he said to me that actually he voted for Reagan. And I was like, hold up, you just messed me up. Why would you do that? And he brought up a good point. Like, sometimes you have to sit back and you look at the facts, look who's running, who is talking to your, what policies are they putting out, what bills that are going to affect you. So therefore, you're going to vote accordingly. Yeah, you might be typically Democrat, but if this person has an agenda that you feel as though is going to directly affect you, then you're going to go that way. So I was really shocked about that after that episode came out. I was like, you voted for Reagan? Okay. You just threw me off. We need to have a little bit more conversations because I don't know what the hell is going on over here. And now I'm really confused.
But then we make also the point that I feel like as people, let's be realistic with people. You're not typically only one thing. Like I feel like if you look at Republican and Democrat and you look at both, like you said, the agenda of what they believe in, all of that, I think you could actually select from both sides. You understand what I'm saying? Like there's that you could be like, oh, okay. Like, because I think, like we said, we're made to believe a certain way about a certain group of people, right? So we think, oh, this group, I don't affiliate with them because they're this, or I don't affiliate with this group because they're this. But at the end of the day, again, if you do your homework and you sit down and you look at their viewpoints, you're like, oh, well, they're about business. I'm about business. You understand what I mean? And there's things that you could say, okay, I agree with that. I don't agree with that. So I feel like people are like down the middle initially, if you really look at it that way.
But Bertie, let me ask you this question, Bertie. So the question is, do they know that? Because I think a lot of people have been either they're not educated properly to know that you don't have to go down the line with just one side. If you feel that the council, your councilman is a Republican and they can be able to do better for you, you can vote for that. And this person is a Democrat and they could do, so it is really going to depend. So my question to you is, do they know that? And I don't think that they know that.
Right. They don't.
No, they don't. And I think this election, though, has and will open a lot of people's eyes, and that for us to really pay attention what's going on, because these bills, these politicians, they affect our lives.
Because, to tell you the truth, there was one lady in Florida, in Jacksonville. And the thing is, it also bring that point up is like there are certain good people, colored folks, that may be Republican, right? And people look at them, and when they're like, oh, I'm a Republican, people automatically ostracize them. Like, oh my gosh, how could you be for this party? Do you know? And it's like they don't take time to listen the reason why, like, we're judging, like we're telling people not to judge, right? But then we're judging these people for exercising their rights. You know what I mean? Regardless of how we feel, why they're doing it. But just like you have a choice and you have a right to believe what you believe, they have a right. So I know there's like a lady that I met when I was here in Jacksonville, and she was running. She was a colored lady, really good. I heard her story, but she was Republican. You know, people of color that are Republican, a lot of people are like, automatically won't vote for them just because it's like, I don't trust you. You know what I mean? It's like they go with the other person automatically. It's like, well, I don't really know why you're Republican. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel bad. They don't look at the good that you could do for them or for the community. They automatically like assume like, oh my gosh, you're Black, you should not be a Republican. Like, just
so the message in all of this is that you can be either Republican or Democrat. You just got to pay attention to what directly affects you. Because real talk, I feel like when 2016 elections, yes, there was a lot of people that weren't ready for Hillary. And also, too, they looked at her history as some shady stuff that she did. But I think the people voted Republican they knew he wasn't qualified. They knew he didn't have experience. They knew he didn't serve office, but they were thinking about their agenda. They were thinking about the bills that are going to pass, things that are going to affect them. They're thinking about their wallets. So they knew that man was not fit for the job.
Right, you're right.
So many of them.
I feel like I get a puppet because you want the fame so bad that I'm going to pull your strings to get the things done that I need to get done. To piggyback on that.
You're right.
The Supreme Court, right? What's that girl's name? Amy? What's her name again? I forgot her name. That they rushed in after when they told Obama back before when Obama was in office and told him you have to wait till after election to appoint someone. But they went ahead and rushed her. But see how karma and stuff gets thrown back in your face? So the Supreme Court, you know, all these cases he had suing all these states for voter fraud. So that it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court shut it down. They said they shut it down in 34 minutes.
Yeah, it was fast. Like it was
34 minutes. So you put your people in place thinking that they were going to have your back, but at the end of the day, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
Okay,
They
so
shut you
ladies,
down
34 minutes. Okay, so let me ask you a question, ladies. Why did they shut him down in 34 minutes? Why do you think they shut him down in 34 minutes? And Lisa
knew he
put
was
up a
full
good
of
statement. Exactly. That statement that you made. He thought they would have his back. How could I think that if you don't have my back? And I'm kind of leery on you that if I don't say something right, I know that you're going to oust me. So why would I come support you if I know that there may be a chance that you're not supporting me if I don't do right by you? So,
and it goes back to they use you as a puppet to get what they need to get because they knew you were not qualified. They knew you never ran for public office. You never was in the military. So you know what? We know you like the fame and you like to run your mouth and all of that. So we're going to put you up front so we could do our business in the back. You understand?
Because the other thing too not trying to be funny, with judges, they have ethical rights too.
Yep.
So the thing about it is, again, like you mentioned, Lisa, if you was a person that understood that it doesn't matter whether or not, and I know there's some, the percentage of shady judges are out there. There's shadiness, but overall, I don't think somebody would jeopardize the level of being in a Supreme Court. You know what I mean? To get to that level.
Yeah.
Exactly. They
made it in their mind. So in my mind, they probably like they made it. And
I'm not jeopardizing that for nobody.
No, I'm not jeopardizing that because you're the fool. You're the fool who let me walk right through the front door. So no, I'm not.
Yeah, like thank you. And no. But
No.
so again, we're talking about reaction. So did family and friends? How did your family and friends react to the results, ladies?
I feel like my family and friends, like everybody was relieved. We all did our part
Mm-hmm.
to actually see the needle move. We all contributed to that needle moving because of the pandemic and the fuckery that was coming out of their mouth. It really gave people a lot of anxiety, affected their lives. Jobs were lost. Everything had to be shut down. So it really, really hit home. Like, no, you affected me, so I'm going to go out here and make sure. So there was a sense of relief, like, okay.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
And I need to pay attention. I need to get involved. I find a lot of family and friends were like, now I need to get involved. I need to find out how I can get involved.
Do you think like the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matters, all those movements also going on at the same time impacted that results too?
I want to say, how do I want to say it? I want to say yes and no, but I think no, I want to probably say yes because of the pandemic and people were at home and they were not distracted by work. They really had no choice to pay attention to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they also had the time to go out there and protest and express how they feel because a lot of people were mad. They were mad as hell.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think it contributed to it as well.
How about you, Tara? What do you think?
What I think is they say God comes right on time. We were, as a people on a whole, as a universe, the whole system shut down across the board. So now we have to stop and remember what I said this morning. There's power in the wait. There is power in the wait. So with all that waiting and just really looking and seeing and really hearing and absorbing and saying, is he really doing that? You see how people are like, you know something? We can't do this anymore. And things are not getting better. So it's not to say he was doing it and then on the back end, he was trying to fix things. No, he didn't do that. He did what he wanted to do when he wanted to do how he wanted to do it. So with that being said, and everybody watched how everything unfolded from the lies to the deception to the shucking and the jiving, all of that. And like Lisa said, yes, there's a lot of relief. There's a visible change here. And
so with that change, because goes into, okay, so we're closing one door, right? And we're opening a new door. So for me, I've spoken to friends and their reaction is like you said, the words you guys are using is relief. Yes. Everybody's like, oh, thank God, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if we could have done another 4 years. But at the same time, now that we have this change, people reaction that I'm finding with my friends in conversation that they're kind of like still waiting. Right.
Oh, yeah.
They're still waiting for, okay, we're here, right? Because we've been here before. And yes, we made history, right? But is a change really going to happen? Or are you really going to do, that's what I was kind of surprised to hear that from people because normally, people are like happy, but the reaction that I'm getting from friends is like, now they're saying, okay, well, I'm just waiting to see what they ran on in their campaign. Or they really now gonna put it to action?
And magnifying glasses on.
Yeah. So you let me know what reaction on the back end are you getting from family and friends?
So my concern and, what I've gotten from family and friends is this is a big load for the President-elect Biden and for the Vice President Harris to carry because they have to and must carry out what they started because if not, you thought all hell was going to break loose before? It ain't going to be nothing nice. It is not. It is not. It is not. So they have to and they must carry out. And I think the good foot that he's starting off with the first 100 days once he sworn in is that everybody wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea. Great idea. Enforce that. Enforce it. Ram it down people's throat. Every time you wake up, mask. You go to bed, mask. You're bathing, mask. You're cooking, mask. Everything. Yes, everything
What do you
should
mean? I don't understand. I already take a bath with a mask on. I don't.
be. Lisa,
What?
we're not talking about
You
your
laid up.
private
You
time.
laid up. You laid up in
Exactly.
bed. It's a mask, right?
Well, you should be wearing a mask when you go to bed, people.
We're digressing, but yes.
Sorry. Let's focus. Sorry.
Basically, wear a mask, whatever you're doing, wherever you're doing it, however you're doing it.
People.
Yes. You got to wear a mask when you play anyway. So what's the difference?
Mm-hmm.
You just move in the location. Sorry.
What about you, Lisa?
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Let's get focused here. Okay. So what do I think? I think there is a lot of pressure on them. Mm-hmm. I think with Biden coming in office, because he was a vice president, I feel like he's going to finish what Obama could not get done. Again, with Obama in office, we all had the same general consensus. All right, this is the first African-American president. Mm-hmm. I felt like this is amazing. It's historical. But those Republicans and those in office, they are not going to let him to do shit. And sure enough, by the end, there's a lot of African-Americans that felt like, oh, Obama didn't do nothing for us. But again, we talked about this in the previous episode,
right?
Is that educating yourself, you understand the process that things have to go through the Senate and Congress and everything. So he can have all these agendas, but then are people going to let it through, push it through for him? So the beautiful thing now is with this uproar that we've had, and then also too, Georgia's the Senate seats are up for election, which is huge too. Biden's going to be able to get through a lot of things that him and Obama were originally working on. So that's one thing. The next thing also too, he has been making his cabinet very diverse. There's a lot of women. There's a lot of different nationalities going on, which is a beautiful thing. Like we talked in another previous episode, in the Caribbean island, there's certain things that we don't experience because in government, they all look like us. But here in the United States, that's not the case. So the beautiful thing is that once we start seeing more like us, push agendas and policies that do affect us. And again, we got to pay attention to what's going on. We have to get out there and vote. We got to get out there and knock on doors. If someone is not doing what they say they're going to do, we got to hold them accountable and we got to go to the polls again. So the beautiful thing is that I think everyone's going to be watching them. We are all going to be watching them. But at the same time, too, I think we should support them because so far it looks like they're putting the right people in place. So again, like Terry said, the first 100 days, that's a beautiful thing. And I think once he is sworn in now, it's now going to be, okay, if you're going to produce and you're going to basically follow through what you talked about, which I do have I have faith that they are going to try to at least accomplish majority of the things that they have listed down. But also keep in mind, they have a lot of shit to clean up too. From the fuckery, this guy was in there. You ever watch a cartoon?
Fuckery is the word of the day. Please, ladies and gentlemen, write that down.
No,
if you've never, please use it in a sentence against Lisa. Fuckery.
Biden has to go in and clean up the fuckery this last one has left for him on his desk.
That's the American version. And the West Indian version is clean up the blood clot fuckery.
There we go.
There we go. Everyone took notes? Everyone got that? Just rewind.
Please add that to your vocabulary.
Yeah, add it to the vocabulary. But yeah, that's the other unfortunate part also too, is that they got 4 years in office. And let's keep it real. They got a lot of shit to clean up. So we also too, as people, have to sit back and be a little patient as well. We have to be a little patient because That's 4 years of shit that I was going to say, you ever seen the cartoons and they just take the table and throw it up and just everything's all over the place? That's what I feel like it is right now. Because again, like I had mentioned earlier, I was listening to CNN and they were talking about how he's super moody. He hasn't conceded. We know that.
Yep.
That's not going down because
that is a shenanigan. If that is not shenanigan central, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna start like just a shenanigan, central podcast. Please, Lisa, please go into this shenanigan and say what you just said so the people understand this shenanigan right here. So in a normal election, that doesn't have shenanigan. When the person loses, what are they supposed to do, Lisa?
Concede.
Okay. So explain the shenanigan with this office so that the people understand the shenanigans. This
one is in here having a temper tantrum. He's moody. He's isolated himself. His team doesn't want to even have conversations with him because they're afraid the first thing he's going to bring up is, don't you think I should have won? What, don't you think I was robbed? He's the other people in his administration said that he's checked out. So he's just there. He's just moody. I mean, that to me is not presidential. That's not professional, and that's not adulting.
What's the difference between then and now? I don't know. Was there a difference between then and now? I mean,
I think that it's just really showing his ugly rear and ugly head. I think it's just really like, I'm in here throwing a temper tantrum for real.
But the amazing thing is, from one of the, many sources and news and stuff, people speculating, is that he said he wants to come back for another 4 years. So my thing is, and I know the answer to this, but I just have to ask because the big truck is coming.
Because the big truck, they know.
They know. They already know.
Going on. Exactly.
They know the fuckery and the shenanigans happening.
They're they're driving to go move him out.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you're trying to be elected for another 4 years, because technically he could come back for just another 4 years, would you not want to? Wouldn't it be wise to kind of like leave in a good faith and show people like, okay, if this administration don't do what they're supposed to do, I'm gonna be right there. You know what I mean? Because like you said, Tara, he has a fan base. Wouldn't it be wise to leave in a good faith so that way when you come back, people are going to be like, you know what, we gave these people a chance. Let's just put him back in there. I'm just asking the question.
Isn't that equivalent to you giving your 2 weeks notice or just walking out and quitting, or you taking the desk and throwing it up like, fuck everybody, and just running amok and stealing stuff and running around crazy? Or no, you give your 2 weeks notice. Listen, what do you need help with the transition? What do you need handing over? Because you don't know if you need these people again. Right?
Who are we talking about? Did I miss something here in the conversation?
Right.
What are we talking about?
Bring us back, Tara. Bring us back. We lost. We lost. We got sidetracked. We had
my bad.
Temporary amnesia. Yeah, we had.
When you know the beast you are dealing with, you work accordingly. That's my saying right there.
That's true. That's a good saying.
For everybody out there who may not know the definition of concede, or who already know, let me just reiterate it. The definition is to admit that something is true or valid after first denying or resisting it. So, with that being said,
I don't think that's ever going to happen, though.
But keep in mind too, technically it's a professional thing to do. They're not required. They don't have to do it. They don't have to do it. So in his mind, if it's in the book saying that I don't have to do it, I'm not doing it. Even though Obama gave you that courtesy. Even though Obama came out and he was like, listen, the election is done. It's in. Let's give this person the respect. Let's work together. Oh, sorry, that's called class, right? Oh, my bad. Okay, never mind.
That's it again.
I have my index finger on my lips. I'm not saying a word. I'm not so enough about the shenanigans. Let's talk about this history in the making, because I think that's a proud moment that we should spend more time, discussing and focusing on. So let's just give a bacchanal shout out to the, Miss Harris, Madam Vice President. Go ahead, Terry. Tell the people how you feel. Tell the people how, what this represents, to this nation.
It is a proud moment for women of color, for women, for the melting pot that she brings to the table. Okay, that she is there going to be representing us. And she's not only representing just the women of color, but she's representing all women. And she's letting people know that, yes, we can do this. This is the second time we had such a historical event that has happened to us, a win for us. Yes, I'm going to say it. It's a win for us. We're getting there slowly. We're chipping away at it slowly but surely, and we are making progress. And if we stand together and we continue to chip, we will get to where we need to get to, but we got to stand together. And it does work. There's power in numbers. And as you can see, we had the first African-American male, and he also represented a melting pot because of his diverse background. And now we have another one with a diverse background. So you can't just say they all African-American or just Black. They represent a lot of us. So I am happy. I am proud. I am excited. And my question that I have for you ladies is, what do we plan to do? How are we contributing?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
That's a very good question.
I know for me, I feel like just finding out where I can help where I live in DC, getting involved. That's how I feel like I can contribute right now. So I'm actually still trying to figure out what exactly, but I've made the mental decision that I'm going to get involved in my DC politics and figure out what's going on. So that you can hold tight. I'll follow up with that one, but I'm definitely getting involved.
So for me, I would say there's so many different things, but I feel like this podcast is actually a way for us to get involved. Definitely. So reason being is because we're letting our voice being heard, right? And I think sometimes we don't know the power that we have in that, because we don't know how impactful that we are. As like you said, Terry, she's representing diversity, and we're diverse on this podcast, and we're expressing our views and we're expressing our thoughts. So as long as I feel like we're having conversation and we're open to anyone to come on and express their views, I think that also makes a change, because you have to learn from history. You have to, seize the moment, but you also have to embrace all different type of life, all different type of culture, all different type of, so you could know how, how to be involved. Because the thing is, we could say, okay, I could be involved in this and that, but if I don't understand what this community needs or these people need or all of that, then I can't get involved. It's just me going and I'm shooting myself in the foot because I don't really understand. So we have to, I think, as a people, embrace one another within ourselves, to kind of like better love ourselves, better be there for each other, better stay connected to each other, right? And in that way, it starts with what we're doing here, and then the seed that we're planting for, for whoever's listening, so that they know, like, hey, they're different. They're able to make it work. They're women, so I can do that too. And then they're having conversation within their own, little bubble. And then that grows and that grows. So I think for me, this podcast is one of the ways, just having the conversation, one of the ways to stay involved, to continue to stay involved. And like you said, Lisa, looking in your area and, connecting with people of all different types, because at the same time, it's not also just being a person of color and you're only connecting with color. You have to be able to connect and take the prejudice off just seeing people for people. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes.
And in that way, you're going to be able to attract and have those conversation, that's going to help. Because the other thing too is I want to make sure like to also make that point, like I think Lisa, you said, with this new administration, just like we people elected them, I think that we also can help them with their agenda. Like you mentioned, knock on the door of your councilman. You also still have the power to continue to help them to get those agenda across. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't stop there with just, oh, okay, I voted. Like you could still continue to help them get their agenda through, because it's us. They represent us, the people. You have to be in there with them for the 4 years and hopefully 8 years, but for the 4 years, that they're in there. So any last thought, ladies?
Congratulations. We're excited for this new page that's turning. We have to definitely be patient. This pandemic is not easy too, because they got to clean that up too. That's
whole nother kettle of fish.
Yeah, so just praying for people. Hope they get the blessings that they need to get them and their families through this pandemic. And we just hold on as a people, educate ourselves, continue to educate ourselves, and find where you can contribute, get in where you can fit in, and just don't lay down and be like, oh, well, somebody else is going to handle it. Somebody else is going to do it. And then later you're going to complain when it affects you. Now, we all have to be the change. So,
right. I think that's very good. And on that note, if you please let us know how your family and friends reacted, how you feel about this momentum, history, and the making, and also share with us, like Terry said, how are you going to stay connected and involved? So connect with us, let us know, and we would love to hear from you. We out. À la prochaine, le peuple. Thank you for joining us this week on Unfiltered Liming with BLT. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and join our Facebook page at Unfiltered Liming with BLT. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh, exciting content. See you next Thursday, same time, same station. Unfiltered Liming with BLT is edited and produced by Unfiltered Liming with BLT.